Hi, this is Robert Plenick, the owner of Brutal Iron Gym. In today's video, I'm going to show you 3 reasons why your back might not be growing as big as you think it should. So we're actually going to discuss cable rows today, so seated cable rows. You can see our fun strongman stuff in the background, all stones and tires. But this is our cable machine. It's from Sorinex. So super high kind of like cable part. The steel rods here. That allows for a lot of range of motion off the back end of the machine here. So basically with this machine here, we have an adjustability feature. If I can figure out how to zoom this in, there we go. So this thing actually moves up and down. So in our machine, you can move that around. Higher helps like with high pulls across the mid-back, and lower helps like the low pulls if you want to get into like lats and whatnot. So when most people are doing this, what they're getting wrong and why they're limited in their growth is they're not moving enough of their shoulder blades. So your shoulder blades actually need to be moving when you're doing this exercise. So I'm going to do a set of 10, and we'll talk a little bit about it. So what you'll see when I'm doing this is that my shoulders are going to move forward and backward rather than locking in place and just moving my arms, which just builds your like biceps. You want to instead let your shoulders move so that way your shoulder blades are moving, and then that helps get more growth. So I'm going to do 10 reps. Now during those reps, you can see my shoulders moving forward and backward, and my body was also staying in control. So that's what I usually have for like technique-wise for my warm-up sets, my lighter sets. Then as they get heavier, I'll start using a little bit of momentum. But that's actually tip number 2, is how to use momentum correctly. So tip number 1 is make sure your shoulders move forward and backward while you're doing rows. I'm going to do a couple more sets, and then we'll come back for tip number 2. Cool. Okay, so in regards to learning how to move your shoulder blades, one of my favorite warm-ups when it comes to back exercises or back workouts, as well as bench press, because in order to bench press correctly, you have to have your shoulders pulled back and braced so that we have a good stable base to press from. So anytime I want to emphasize or kind of learn more about how to move my shoulder blades, get that feeling going, I actually use our ski erg, and I do reverse flies, and I focus on my shoulder joint moving forward and backward. So I'm going to show you just a couple seconds, like 20 seconds or so, of this motion. And this is a great thing to superset right before or during the warm-ups of back exercises and bench press. So we grab the cables, we crisscross, and then we do a reverse fly, making sure the shoulders move. So that's what the motion looks like. I usually do it for a minute per set. And typically I'll put the flywheel, which is this challenge thing down here. It has like the resistance level. I'll put that around 5 or 6. So that way I'm not like killing myself while doing this. The idea is just to get some good blood flow and get kind of good mind-muscle connection with the muscles moving. So then what I want to show now, we come back over here to the cable row, is our second tip of why your back may not be growing. Let me kind of adjust this a little bit. And it could be because when you're doing back rows, you're using too much upper body movement. So what that means is people sometimes use too much of their lower back, and they miss out on the back actually being activated. So what happens when they do the row is they'll extend forward and they kind of throw themselves back, forward and throw themselves back. So we don't want to do that. You want to make sure your lower back is a bracer, not a mover of this exercise. So I'll show you a couple reps of what looks inappropriate, what's wrong, and then I'll show you a couple reps on how to actually do it the right way. So when you get heavy cable rows, you do have to use a little bit of body English sometimes to get the weight kind of moving in the transition when you're most stretched. But the idea would be is to, in your stretch, you would get a full stretch, you would release into the legs a little bit, push, and then stop the legs, and then finish the rest with the back. So you're really looking to just try to get an initiation of momentum. And there's caveats to everything I'm saying in the sense of you should always lift under control, but there also is a time every now and then to get a little bit crazy with it and a little bit heavy and let a little bit of body English sneak in there. You don't ever want to twist your spine, you don't want to compromise position of the spine, and you never want to do so much help from other muscles that the targeting muscle is no longer the main worker of the movement. So I'll show you what that means when we put it all together. So a couple reps of the wrong way. So the reason why that's the wrong way is because I didn't use my upper back at all. So all they're really doing is hinging from their hips and using their spinal erectors like their lower back. And there's no back pump there whatsoever. So it's just all in the lower back of the hips. So instead what we want to do is a little bit of a push from the legs and kind of the hip area, but then finish with that squeeze of the back and then a drive of your arms. So now we'll try about 10 reps or so the right way. So that way had some body English, some body assistance, but my upper back was still absolutely the main mover. My upper back's pumped, that was pretty good. So that's the second tip, is to make sure on cable seated rows you're not actually training your lower back, you're actually training your upper back. So make sure your shoulder blades are moving, make sure whatever little bit of body English you're using doesn't compromise the involvement of the upper back. So, I'm out of breath. Those are the two tips we have for why your back isn't growing. And the third tip, intra-workout drinks. So, I drink milk when I work out, which is probably disgusting to most people, but it has a lot of calories in it, has a lot of proteins, has carbohydrates and sugars. So that way, as my body's training, I can use the carbohydrates and the sugars for energy, and it feels a really good, great workout. I'm never going to be able to drink, well, not never, but I don't drink more calories than what I actually use in the workout. I probably come out in about a wash, and then I get fat loss during the recovery period after the workout when my metabolism is higher because my body's trying to fix and repair the muscles. And then by having the protein in the milk, it allows me, as my muscles are being damaged in the training, my body can already be processing fixes, already be doing all the muscle development, muscle growth type processes intermittently, along with us beating the crap out of the muscles in the gym. So if you don't use intra-workout drinks, you're definitely missing out on how much muscle mass you can have. So in conjunction with this video, you can check out our podcast. We have a daily podcast. You can go to our website, www.brutalirongym.com, and on that podcast you can search for intra-workout drinks, and you'll see the podcast we have for that. Or you can send us a direct email or a message on Instagram, and I'll send you the direct link. So those are 3 tips to why your back might not be growing. Number 1 is shoulder blades aren't moving. Number 2 is using too much lower back. Number 3 is not using an intra-workout drink. So hopefully those are helpful. Put everything to use, and good luck.